Welcome back to Christmas Cupid. Once again, you're with Amy.
And this is Shane.
I hope
So,
everybody's having a great holiday.
yep. And today we're going to be talking about 2022's Lights, Camera, Christmas. You just wished everybody a happy holiday, and I just was like rolling into the movie because I didn't know how to be cordial and nice to people. Says
Oh, well,
happy holidays. What? No.
we are here to talk about movies,
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah, but it was nice. You should always say Merry Christmas, and even though it's in November. So we're talking about Lights, Camera, Christmas from 2022, starring Kimberly Sustad and John Brotherton. We'd not seen her, well, I haven't, and but
I mean,
we've seen
she's
him,
been in
and
movies. We just haven't. This is our first
she's
time
been,
seeing
yes, she
her.
has, and this is a story about a lady that works in a small town as it's like a retro shop, like a costume.
A
Uh,
retrofit. She's a clothes
she's
designer and
Well, it's a
retail. In
clothing
retail.
store,
Hmm.
and they sell like retro clothes or whatever. And you come to find out she's a little bit of a designer. She's yeah, she designed some of the clothes in the
She
shop
went
and
to
she
college
sells it.
for it, didn't finish.
Has it? What's that?
She went to college
Yeah,
for
but
it, didn't finish,
you
so
don't
she
know that
opened
yet, right?
the
Do you?
shop.
At the beginning, you don't know that.
Well, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah. So this it's just a little bit of a meta movie. It's basically kind of Hallmark picking on Hallmark, right? Kind of messing with poking fun at Hallmark because they she works in this little town. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the name of the town. I'm never going to remember it. And basically, Hallmark, I think it's called Dazzle Pictures. It's
It's
like a
Dazzle Plus, kind of like
Dazzle.
a spin, like
Oh yeah.
making fun
Uh,
of Disney
they
Plus, I
they
think, or
roll into
Paramount.
town and they're going to be making a Christmas rom com, a romantic comedy. My Favorite Santa, that is starring John Brotherton. So he's a guy in a Hallmark movie playing a guy in a
Yeah, he's
Hallmark
like
movie.
known as like the king of Christmas
Yeah, he
movies.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a little meta in that, right? So they roll up into town and they're going to make this movie. They come into her store and they say, "Look, we need some costumes or whatever." And then I think she bumps into him on the street. He seems a little bit narcissistic at first, but he turns out to actually not be in any way. Like no, they don't. He doesn't. His heart doesn't get changed to Christmas. He seems to be a pretty good guy, right?
Right, they bump in on
Brad.
the
Yeah.
street and he asks to borrow
So
her cell phone
yeah.
and
So
she's
Carrie, who's the character that Kimberly Sustad plays, she's the lady that owns the shop, and they go in there, and the other lady that's going to be in the film as well, Mariah, who's played by Veronica Long. She goes in the shop and she sees a couple of little dresses and she goes, "Oh my gosh, these are so cute. These are really good. Where did you get these?" And she goes, "Well, actually, I designed those myself." And she comes into the store. She's the leading lady in the rom-com, so she comes in there with Brad, which is John Brotherton, and they're leading lady and leading man, but they're just friends. There's nothing about them that's romantic at all. There's no love triangle happening here. And she's like, "Yeah, these are really great." Well, as it turns out, the director of the film, who's Caleb, played by Matthew Kevin Anderson, is their costume designers is left and went to like Africa. Like I remember hearing it and going, "What?" She was like going to go and be gone 6 months. He's like, "No, we need to make this movie right now. You need to come here." And he looks around and can't find anybody. Well, he
well,
can't
Veronica Long's
he
character,
can't find.
Mariah.
Yeah, she goes, "Yep, go ahead. You can take over
She
this. You got
no,
it."
she just having come off of going into retrofit the store
Yep,
says, "Hey, I got an idea," and here comes then Kimberly Sustad
yep.
into the picture
Ca-
as their savior.
yeah, Caleb goes into the store and is like, "Look, can you just come help us out for a day, like a couple days? We need some costumes. Can you?
And he buys the whole store.
Buys the whole store." And she's like, "Yeah, I mean, you bought my whole store. I suppose I can. Well, I don't have any. A, I don't have anything else to do. B, maybe I feel like I owe you because you you bought everything from me, right?" And
Well, and as a
yeah,
side note, this is coming at an opportune time because currently her store
in
is
trouble.
in jeopardy.
Yeah,
She's not being able to pay for the
yep.
rent because she's
Small
not
town. Yeah,
making any
yeah.
kind of profit.
Yep. And so she's like, "Yeah, I guess I can." And she goes and she has a really good initial idea about a jacket or something that Brad is going to wear. The
In a scene, yeah.
John Brotherton. Yeah.
He plays Santa
Hmm.
in the movie.
She has a good idea about a jacket initially, and the scene works out really well. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was a really good idea." And of course, Brad goes, "But did you know that was Carrie's idea? Kimberly Sustad, did you know that was Carrie's idea?" And Caleb, the director's like, "Oh wow, that's a really good idea. We really appreciate it, and we actually need, Santa to be maybe a little updated Santa. The Dazzle Network has said they need it updated. This is too old-fashioned Santa look. Can you do something?" She's like, "I can't. I don't know what you're talking about." And she eventually agrees to kind of work on it a little bit, and she comes up with a really modern, kind of cool actually
Hmm.
looking Santa, and they love it.
They eat it up. So,
Yeah, it's good. At
mhm.
first, I don't think everybody in the little area likes it, but yeah, then they get into it, and then what happens?
So, as she is becoming more involved in the costume designing of the movie, she starts to learn a little bit more about John Brotherton,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes over, kind of invites himself over for dinner because saying he hasn't had a home to cook meal in a while, being that he's always on the road. And so the mom,
He's very involved.
Carrie's mom,
Mm-hmm.
played by Laura
Soltis, yeah,
Soltis,
Soltis is
she's been in other shows before.
Jess.
She's very friendly. I really like her. Makes dinner. They eat. Great conversation. He wants to pay her back. He takes her out to dinner, but
It's a
it's
little surreal because basically what they have in their home it would be like if Andrew Walker came and ate dinner with us. You know what
right,
I mean? Like it's a little surreal that they've got
right,
a guy in their home playing the piano with him and kind of talking to him and being really sweet. He's never a jerk.
right. And
Um,
Carrie's mom
she loves him.
knows all his movies,
Oh,
and
but
so
but but
she's a
loves him
fan.
too because he's a nice guy, right? And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, as all this is happening, Carrie is acclimating herself to his movies, watching them, enjoying them. I think the mom
Yeah,
makes a comment about it. And she, is opening herself up, I would say, to the possibility of a relationship. And I think he is enjoying her company.
sure.
And then we get introduced to that she knows that this uh, film company is only going to be in her town for a limited time, and
Mm-hmm.
she has really enjoyed what she's doing. So it opens up the
Mm-hmm.
idea of looking for a job in the fashion design
Mm-hmm.
business. And he, as an actor, is in constant contact with his agent, and his agent has introduced him to a
An
movie
independent film,
in
yeah,
London that will actually
further his career.
introduce him to a different type of movie
Mm-hmm.
that he's usually doing these Christmas movies.
Yep,
So
he
he's
does the
very
rom-coms, yeah.
intrigued.
Yeah. And she was previously, like you said originally, she quit design school. She didn't. They gave her some bad news about something they didn't like. One thing she did, and she kind of just stopped.
Well, I think she didn't have enough confidence in
Yeah,
herself.
she didn't. It's clear, yes. But this working on the set, like you said, had given her. I didn't even think about that. It's a good point. Had given her enough confidence to be able to reapply, like for that same school, I think, for the same. Or
No,
no, it was a job, just
this
a
was a
job.
job in New
It was a
York.
job interview. Yeah. So both of them separately are applying for jobs. Their coming together has taught them to be more confident when they're not together.
Right.
Basically, go ahead.
Now, in all of this, though, too, we have to keep in mind that Brad had said to her, "Why don't you come with me to London in this new movie?
At this
Because we
point, they
could
are
use."
there to they feel togetherish.
Right. And he feels that she does such a fantastic
Yeah.
job. Why don't you come with me and be the costume? You'll have a job with me
When you
if you come.
in London on this new set of this indie thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think she was a little bit taken back by that invitation, but clearly you could see,
Oh,
her
wheels turning.
brain,
Yeah.
yeah, was thinking, so she does get invited to start working at that
She said, "When
company.
can you start?" They sent her a letter and said, "When can you start?" And then we don't hear anything, and she hears from her mother because he gets a call in his trailer or whatever, and it looks like they're like tabloids or whatever starting to report what will this new role in this edgy playing a bad guy in this edgy indie film do for Brad's career
Reputation.
as a rom-com guy, and he gets cold feet, he gets really scared and turns it down. He turns it down, and she hears that he turns it down, and she goes to approach him, and he goes, "Yeah, it's not a big deal or whatever." And then he kind of realizes, "Oh my gosh, she turned this
She
job
turned the New York job down because
to
she
be
had
with."
decided to go to
No,
London
but
with
not in
him.
like a submissive like they could have easily played that in like some sort of I'm the female and I have no I'm I only exist to be in a love story or
Well, it was
whatever.
like
She was doing that because she
having
genuinely
her
liked
cake
him.
and
She's
eating
got her
too.
own thing
Right.
she could do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she liked him and she also
yeah,
was
yeah.
going to be able to focus
They,
on what
but
she
they did a
loved
good
doing.
thing, right? They didn't play her as the little Susie homemaker that was just dying to go and find her a man. A man. She had her shot. She chose to go and be with him, but then he turned it down, and she got really mad because she was like, you didn't think about me at all. You invited me to go, and then you turn it down, and then what do we got?
So then he says, "Well, why can't you reach back out to the New York office and see if you can get your job?" And she said, "No, it's not like that." And then come to find out that um, the producer of the show,
Caleb. Yeah.
Caleb, has asked her to come work for him
He did. They're about to leave the town, right?
permanently.
Well, they're about to leave the town
Hmm.
because the shoot is over, the movie's over, and he's like, "Why don't you just come live in? We've got enough work for you. I can give you work forever." There's a really fun subplot that we're not going to talk about with the producer and his
Hmm. That's
ex-wife that are
something
on
you
the
can
set.
see when you
It's
watch it.
awesome. It's really like it's one of those little. I like plucky Hallmark movies, and this one it's not it's plucky and sweet at the same time. It's really fun. It's something it's one of the reasons you should watch the movie, not just the leads, but that little side story. It's funny. It's good. It's
Yeah, it
well
has a
done.
nice happy ending.
Sweet.
Um,
But you're right. Go back to what you said. She's about to. They invite her to come to L.A. and live in L.A. Well, and we should say we didn't mention this. This whole thing is told in flashbacks because they're all currently sitting on stage at a Q&A inside a movie theater answering questions about what it was like to film this thing.
mhm.
That kind of matters because we keep flashing back to that theater and they'll ask like uncomfortable, sort of uncomfortable-ish questions. But yeah, they all leave the town and Brad leaves the town or whatever and he's like, what are you gonna say, right? Like I guess he just made her angry. So they
Well, and then Brad, apparently his agent reached back out to him, and the indie film, wanted him still after something had happened, and so he agreed to go ahead and
they shut
jump
it
on
down
that.
for a while
Right.
and that delay made him able to have another
Hmm.
shot at it and we find this out that towards the end of the movie, like right at the end of the movie, he says, and I took it. It was you helped me see that I could be better.
Hmm.
And,
So, I mean,
and she's
I
working
think
in LA.
she did a fantastic job,
She's very good.
and he is a very charismatic
Su-
person in this movie, which really made me enjoy
super
watching him.
super charismatic. Yeah, yeah.
Very sweet, very, with the exception of the conflict, which I didn't really think was a huge conflict, I thought
It's
he
just a
was very
conversation type thing.
caring.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like it ends. I'm not gonna spoil it. I don't think there's much to spoil in this movie, but it ends sort of silly. Like they do a weird kind of. Well, I mean, I guess I can spoil. It doesn't matter if you're this far. Shut this off and go watch it if you don't want the ending spoiled for you. It ends in like a Grease way. You know how Grease at the end of Grease, they just start flying off in a car, and you're like, oh my gosh, don't do that. So dumb.
They
I
don't
just
fly
want to.
off in a car.
No, they don't fly off in a car, but they go outside, and and they look at and there's like this really ridiculously fake looking set behind them, even though it's not. I think it's probably the city wherever they were when they shot it. Everything shot in
Yeah,
Canada. Um,
that lost me a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. At the end, he's like they get like a little wink to the camera, or whatever, and it's just like, oh, you were
They
so
ended
good.
it like a cheesy movie ending, is what
In
I
a
think they were.
yes, they were obviously doing a parody of the movies
Right.
that they were already making fun of, but I feel like they had already done that. So when they got to the end and they did the little wink to the camera, it was like, yeah, we know you've been parodying a movie the whole time, but this was just like you didn't need to do that. This is a really sweet story. You didn't need to make it silly at the end. You could have just left it sweet.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing other movies that she's in.
Which is great.
And I think like I said, I think this is the second or third movie that we've seen of him in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
second or third of him. We
mhm.
haven't seen any of
And he
her,
hasn't
though I
disappointed.
know she's popular. We haven't seen any of her. Yeah, this one is a high, one of our highest, I think, one of our highest
Hmm.
recommendations. You should watch this one. This was a really
This was a nice, refreshing new
what
Christmas movie.
was not expecting. I mean, it was bound to happen that somebody that Hallmark was going to make a movie
Yeah,
poking
it was
fun of
clever.
Hallmark,
It was very
right?
clever. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah, it
it.
was very clever, but it's really good. Everybody that's in it is good. There's no slow, no bad acting, no bad anything. I said that one little thing at the end, but I can forgive it.
Well, we recommend you watching it and
Yep,
letting us know your thoughts.
yep. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Bye.
See you again.